Education logistics are the basic fundamentals of a college classroom, and you need to understand these in order to maximize your time on campus. The first education logistic you need to understand is the college professor. One of the biggest misconceptions about college professors is that they're teachers. I think this is the wrong way to view professors. Being a professor and being a teacher are two different professions, so it's best if you never think of professors as teachers.
Let's take a look at this picture of a college classroom. Think of every high school classroom you've ever been in as a student. The person standing in front of that room is a teacher. In a college classroom, although this person standing in front may look the same, their goal is vastly different. The goal of a college professor is to show you what material is most valuable in that class, not to make sure that you understand or learn it. I know this might seem kind of harsh because every teacher you've ever had has had your best learning interest at heart. Now, professors do care about students, but their job responsibility is different. You as a student need to understand that that person standing in front of a college classroom, this professor, is not a teacher. Why we teach this at the College Game Project is so you're prepared to do the best in every college classroom you walk into. That starts with understanding the person that's standing in front of you. Another major point you need to understand about that professor standing in the front of class is this person is a super nerd. All professors are. Most of them truly enjoy the material that they teach because, well, they're super nerds. So with this, if you are distracting them, if you're text messaging, if you're falling asleep, if you're reading a newspaper, professors keep notice of this. Even in a 500-person classroom, professors will pay attention to what students are doing in that class. So it's important not to offend the professor. I know this may sound strange if you're one out of a 500-person classroom, but I'm telling you from a professor's point of view, this is how it is. Next, communication with professors is a valuable piece that we need to go over. Communication nowadays is typically done by email. Let's take a look at 2 emails sent to me as a professor by 2 different students in the same class asking me the same question. I'd like you to read both of these emails word for word, and as you'll notice, both of them are asking me the exact same question. What I want to do is highlight some key points about these 2 emails to show you things to keep in mind when emailing professors. Remember, these are professional interactions between you and the professor. The professor is not your friend, and they're not your family. The email on the left is written in ways that people write to friends and family, which is fine. But it is not appropriate to write to professors or anybody else in the professional world. Let's break this down even further. First point, do not leave the subject line blank. I know this might seem minor, but it really isn't. This leaves a first impression. Think of every email account you've ever had. Doesn't the subject line tell you what the whole email is going to be about? If left blank, this leaves a bad first impression. Leaving the subject line blank is fine and acceptable for emailing friends and family, but not professionally. Most professors are pretty old school, and leaving that subject line blank can leave a bad impression. Next, properly address the professor. I can clearly tell you that using the word "hey" to address a professor is completely inappropriate. Make sure you address the professor properly every single time. Next, sign your email. Make sure the professor knows the person sending the email. I know that might sound simple, they could just hit reply, but in a lot of email addresses, especially those in college, it does not directly link to your name. Make sure you sign it so they can properly address you when they reply to your email. Never use text message language. Again, this is perfectly fine and acceptable if the email is being sent to a friend or family member. But when communicating with the professor, they are not your friend and they're not your family member. Therefore, be very clear not to use text message language. Last, use a professional email address only. As a professor, I've had students email me from email addresses that have been completely inappropriate. The example I typically use is the girl that sent me an email from TennesseeHotBody69@yahoo.com. Even if the email is written properly, think of the impression that leaves. That's not what you're going for. By taking the time to learn how professors think and how to best interact with them, you can maximize your time on campus and the great resource professors actually are. I wish you nothing but the best, and remember, take yourself seriously.